Christianity has a massive problem, and most people inside it don't even see it. The real issue isn't belief versus unbelief. The real issue is belief without obedience. That's the fracture. Modern Christianity built an entire system where confession replaces covenant, belief replaces obedience, and forgiveness gets turned into permission. That's why people fight so hard the second you say Torah still matters, because the moment obedience matters, the whole system gets exposed. Think about what just happened. Yesterday was Easter. People gathered, ate whatever they wanted, and ignored Yahuwah's appointed times. They ignored his calendar, ignored his commands, and still called it worship. Today begins Passover on the 364-day covenant calendar, followed by unleavened bread. That's what Yahuwah actually appointed. That's what he actually established, and that's what Scripture actually says. But millions will spit on that and act like celebrating whatever he never commanded is somehow honoring him. And that's exactly the problem. Christianity doesn't just drift from obedience, it protects disobedience with bad theology. It says, just believe, just confess, just ask forgiveness, just come back next Sunday, and just keep the system going. So what happens? People sin all week and then ask forgiveness on Sunday and call that a walk with God. That's not covenant. That's a religious reset cycle built to keep people comfortable in breach. And what's crazy is even other religions, even though they're not fully aligned either, at least understand one basic thing. If God is real, obedience should follow. Judaism practices obedience. Islam practices obedience. And again, not saying either one is fully right, but they at least understand that devotion is supposed to cost something. Christianity is the one system where people claim to love God while fighting against the idea that they should actually obey him. And that's insane. And Scripture isn't vague on this. Yahusha says, if you love me, keep my commandments. Not, if you love me, ignore the standard. Not, if you love me, replace the modim. Not, if you love me, create new holidays. Not, if you love me, build a religion around exemption. Not everyone who says, Master, Master, why do you call me Master? And not do what I say? Because faith without dead or works is dead. Sin is lawlessness. And the text is painfully clear. So the issue isn't whether people say they believe in Yahusha. The issue is whether they will obey Yahuwah. Because in Scripture, belief that doesn't obey is not covenant faithfulness. It's self-deception. And that's why this matters so much around Passover. Passover isn't just a ritual, it's alignment, it's remembrance, it's covenant, it's deliverance on Yahuwah's terms, in Yahuwah's timing, by Yahuwah's structure. So when people ignore that and replace it with a man-made observance, they're not just doing their best, they're participating in replacement worship. That's why the modern church is so sick, because it taught people that sincerity matters more than obedience, that emotion matters more than command, that tradition matters more than what is written, that just believing in Jesus covers a lifestyle that openly refuses Yahuwah's order, and it doesn't. The real divide is not Christian versus non-Christian. The real divide is obedience versus lawlessness, covenant loyalty versus self-made religion, Yahuwah's way versus the tradition of men. So, let me say it plainly. If your faith requires you to ignore Yahuwah's commands, it's not biblical faith. If your worship requires you to replace his appointed times, it's not biblical worship. If your doctrine gives you permission to believe without obeying, it's not covenant truth. And that's why so many people hate what I teach, because it exposes the whole fraud. They don't hate truth because it's unclear. They hate the truth because it demands obedience. And that's the issue, and that's the fracture, and that's why today matters.